Hi, Lester, Wushu Engineer. I hope you're all well at this time and you're doing all you can to look after yourself and others under the current circumstances. I believe that the only true measure of a person is how they respond to hard times. Many people define themselves by how they behave when they're comfortable and then excuse bad behavior under stress because they were, quote, not themselves, or they were, quote, under stress. Actually, these are precisely the times that expose who people really are under the surface. We're living in interesting times. Wikipedia has the following to say about that expression. May you live in interesting times is an English expression which purports to be a translation of a traditional Chinese curse. While seemingly a blessing, the expression is normally used ironically. Life is better in uninteresting times of peace and tranquility than in interesting ones, which are usually times of trouble. Despite being so common in English as to be known as the Chinese curse, the saying is apocryphal, and no actual Chinese source has ever been produced. The most likely connection to Chinese culture may be deduced from analysis of the late 19th century speeches of Joseph Chamberlain, probably erroneously transmitted and revised through his son Austen Chamberlain. Despite being widely attributed as a Chinese curse, there is no known equivalent expression in Chinese. The nearest related Chinese expression is usually translated as better to be a dog during peacetime than a human in times of war. The expression originates from volume 3 of the 1627 short story collection by Feng Menglong, Stories to Awaken the World. I'm sure that all of you watching this video are aware of the current global situation as far as a certain little organism is concerned. So I'm not going to talk at all about the organism itself, because I'm not a medical doctor or a health professional, and there are plenty of more reliable sources that you can refer to about this. I'm not even going to talk about the socio-economic ramifications of the events that have transpired over the last few months, and that will transpire over the next few years as a result of this little organism and the global response to the outbreak. I'm not an expert in any of these matters, and there are far more knowledgeable sources that you can refer to for perspectives on the new world that will arise from all of this. For our world as we know it is never going to be the same again. I believe that a great many people are living in the hope that this will all blow over in a couple of weeks, and things will go back to normal, whatever normal is for you or for them. This is clearly an example of a kind of self-delusion called optimism bias that can affect people in self-defense and survival situations. So many people who have been in self-defense and or survival situations have done nothing at all to protect themselves or others. And when questioned about their lack of action afterwards, have said something to the effect of, "I just didn't believe that was really happening." This is optimism bias. One of the first things I talk about in my self-defense classes is the importance of accepting that something is happening. And I was about to sneeze, which is something that I needed to accept. Denying reality is one of the impediments to positive action that could save someone's life or health in a self-defense situation. As such, it is important to accept the fullness of a bad thing when it starts happening. Don't question why or lament the fact that this thing is happening. It is happening. Get over it. Come up with a plan. Because without a plan, we're just monkeys. If you're one of the people who believe that this will all blow over in a couple of weeks, there's no further reason for you to continue watching this video, because my thoughts will not be relevant to you. I will also say that I sincerely hope to be proved wrong by you. I would be exceedingly happy to be wrong about this. For those who stick around, you more than likely believe, as I do, that we live in interesting times. It's clear that governments around the world are under a lot of strain as they face the pandemic. There are even reports surfacing about inmates being released from prisons and police forces relaxing their efforts to pursue low-level crime. This is a worrying trend and a slippery slope. The criminal element in society is typically very opportunistic in nature, and the current state of affairs represents some considerable opportunity for them. As such, I believe that we're going to witness a surge in crime around the world. Even typically law-abiding folk can exhibit criminal tendencies when their comfort levels are impacted or they are exposed to a sufficiently stressful situation. Hard times bring out both the best and worst in people. We've seen this even in relatively safe and secure Australia, with people fighting over toilet rolls in supermarkets, and supermarket personnel being stabbed by irate shoppers. If you as a person find yourself trying to hurt someone over a toilet roll, there should be some serious questions that you ask yourself regarding your life choices, your code of ethics, and your level of self-control. And herein is part of the problem. En masse, the greater part of humanity, including you and I, have been groomed for perhaps as much as 100 years to become perfect consumers. A consumer does not need a code of ethics. Ethics can interfere with our product preferences and narrow down the range of products that we would want to consume. A consumer does not need self-control. Self-control can also interfere with the type of product that we are willing to consume, and can certainly interfere with the quantity of product that we are willing to consume. So subtly, over many generations, we have had our ethics and self-control eroded to ensure that we just consume. Is it any wonder that the great majority has responded to this crisis by buying as many goods as they can and clearing the aisles of toilet paper? There's a crisis. We must consume. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not suggesting that there is a room full of Dr. Evils who are plotting to control the world through commerce. I just believe that there are a lot of corporations out there who are all trying to make as much money as possible. In fact, they want to make all the money. These are the corporations who also control, to a greater or lesser degree, what we watch, hear, read, and through these information channels, to some extent, what we think. That's all that it takes to bring the situation about. From there, the erosion of ethics and self-control is just part of the process of evolution in order to breed the next generation of perfect super consumers. Cause and effect. But, Wushu engineer, I hear you say, you also sell things. Yes, I do. And in fact, I'm going to be trialing some products on my channel over the next few months, and they're going to form part of the repertoire of products that we have on offer on Wushu Workshop website, and that I believe may be helpful and assist people in dealing with the challenges of our changing world, in particular in terms of personal security. I live in the same world that you live in, a world in which one typically needs money to survive and function. I suppose one of the differences is that I don't want to make all the money. I, like you, want to make as much money as I need to live and to care for my family. And perhaps what is most important is that I believe in the sanctity of free will. I would rather someone exercise their free choice and walk away from a sale or from being a student of mine than to try and twist their arm into buying something. I suppose that's what makes me a pretty lousy businessman. Yes, I suppose that's perhaps the difference between me and other corporations, is that I am a lousy businessman. I worked in retail at a well-known South African camping goods store called Cape Union Mart for a short period of time. I sucked. I would tell potential buyers what I really thought about the products, and my sales were just not good enough. So I was moved on to a quieter store shortly before quitting. But that's all getting a bit off topic. Back to ethics and self-control. I've met people in my lifetime who have claimed to adhere to ethical codes, but who've simply abandoned them, often to their own surprise, when the going got tough. I suppose this is the kind of person who may believe that they are ethical, but who also lacks the self-control to stick to their code of ethics under duress. A moral or ethical code is just not enough on its own. It's only as strong as your will to follow it. You need self-control in order to be the type of person that you want to be. Everyone has emotional, selfish, or destructive reactions to events and opportunities. The difference between bad and good people is that good people have typically chosen to adhere to an ethical code and have the self-control to override their baser instincts in order to do what they believe is right. Traditional martial arts practice typically includes some form of morality and ethics, a code that's taught alongside combat skills. The old way of thinking is that empowering someone with extreme combat skills without instructing them in ethical matters is like building a gun with no safety. They become a danger to everyone around them. I have my own code of ethics, which in my case, as a practitioner of Chinese martial arts, is co-linear with the general principles of Wu Dai. So, from Wikipedia, Wu Dai can be translated as martial morality, and is constructed from the words Wu, which means martial, and Dai, which means morality. Excuse my pronunciation, I'm no expert. Wu Dai deals with two aspects, morality of deed and morality of mind. Morality of deed concerns social relations. Morality of mind is meant to cultivate the inner harmony between the emotional mind and the wisdom mind. The ultimate goal is reaching no extremity, or Wu Ji, closely related to the Taoist concept of Wu Wei, where both wisdom and emotions are in harmony with each other. The ethical virtues that form part of Wu Dai are as follows. In terms of deeds, we have humility, virtue, respect, morality, trust. And in terms of mind, we have courage, patience, endurance, perseverance, and will. Of course, if one does not possess self-discipline, these are merely abstract concepts that mean nothing, because it is unlikely that one will stick to them when one's comfort, safety, or life is on the line. Fortunately, in traditional martial arts training, self-discipline is also taught. In fact, it is one of the most extensively trained characteristics. In a study entitled Differences Between Judo, Taekwondo, and Kung Fu Athletes in Sustained Attention and Impulse Control by Javier Sánchez-López, Talia Fernández, Juan Silva-Pereyra, and Juan Antonio Martinez Mesa, published online in July 2013 in Scientific Research, it was found that high levels of attention, concentration, and self-control were present in combat sport athletes. In this study, the differences in attention test performance among three groups of athletes from different disciplines of martial arts, Judo, Taekwondo, and Kung Fu, were determined. The study abstract states the following. 20 athletes with at least 1 year of experience in their respective sport were included in the study. The test of variables of attention, or TOVA, was performed, and data for the standard and Z-scores of the quarters, halves, and totals of each variable were analyzed. The Kung Fu athletes showed better inhibition response than the Judo and Taekwondo athletes. Minor performance deterioration during the impulsivity test was identified in Kung Fu athletes compared with Taekwondo and Judo athletes. Judo athletes showed higher variability in reaction times than Kung Fu athletes. Our study suggests that Kung Fu training improved attention skills more than the other two disciplines. This effect, in the words of the authors, can be explained by the athlete's dedication to Kung Fu training and the sport's promotion of discipline, self-control, and meditation. Now, although these results are very interesting, I'm not much into comparisons between the performance of athletes from different martial traditions. In my opinion, systems are only marginally represented by their practitioners. In other words, systems are abstract concepts and do not have literal representations in the real world. There's no such thing as one system competing against another system. Only individuals compete. There's a big difference between the casual 2-class-a-week martial arts practitioner and a professional martial artist who trains seriously for 20 to 40 hours a week. A direct comparison of the competence of these two individuals is very obviously going to be heavily skewed in favor of the professional, regardless of the perceived effectiveness or ineffectiveness of their system. I believe that most true traditional martial arts systems teach self-control to varying extents. In addition to the practice of self-control, the cultivation of a calm and controlled mind through meditation and other mental control techniques certainly stands a martial artist in good stead when exposed to panic-inducing events such as the ones that have been unfolding recently. In a true traditional system, a practitioner will always receive instruction in ethics, as well as the self-discipline training and tools to stick to their code no matter what. There are many people who believe that ethics and morality do not eclipse self-interest or self-preservation. I personally do not believe that. We're all going to die sometime, and I personally don't want to exit stage left with the narrow and straight-jacketed experience of never having lived for anything bigger than myself. I want to end this video off with a shout out to all the principled martial artists in my viewership who watch my videos. I encourage you to continue your personal cultivation and to follow the old ways. Practice your forms as best you can, as you would care for a Zen garden in the midst of the chaos. Let the training occupy its proper place as one of the anchors that can help to keep you from drifting from who you would want to be. The calm dedication of hard work and training can be a great support to you in these times of crisis. They can help to sustain, nourish, and heal your mind, and help you to distinguish between what is real and what is imaginary. Don't get distracted by the panic around you. As always, this is the world that you have trained to occupy as a constructive citizen. This is what you've been training for. You got this. Stick to your code. Practice self-restraint. Be courageous. Persevere. Try to be of help to your community wherever possible. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers.